Well, but before we get into other things, maybe tell us a little bit about the last 2 weeks. What have you noticed?
Well, frankly, the last 2 weeks have been completely surreal. It's as if I'm watching some sort of a film from a side. It's a very good film, but it doesn't feel like this is happening in real life. Just a few weeks ago, I was absolutely certain that I would die in Putin's gulag, and now I'm sitting at home and speaking with you, and I'm here with my family, and I could hug my kids, hug my wife, whom I wasn't allowed even to call on the phone from prison. And so this is Vladimir Bukovsky, who's a prominent Soviet era dissident and longtime prisoner of conscience, who was himself exchanged in 1976 in actually what was the first of its kind East-West exchange involving political prisoners. There'd been exchanges involving spies on both sides before, but this was the first exchange of political prisoners in December 1976. It was an exchange mediated by the US administration at the time, the Ford administration. It involved Bukovsky on the Soviet side and Luis Corvalan, the Chilean Communist Party leader who was imprisoned in Chile under General Pinochet on the other side. And in his book, recalling this historic exchange, Bukovsky compared the experience to what a deep sea diver feels when he suddenly burst out from the depths of the ocean onto the surface and you just completely lose your orientation. You just have absolutely no idea what's happening. And you need time to sort of acclimate, to get back, to transition back into reality. This is the metaphor he used, and I think it's a very appropriate one, spot on. I mean, this is exactly how I've been feeling, and I don't know how much time it will take to acclimate, to get back into some sort of normal, and to realize that this is actually happening in reality instead of being some sort of a dream. But all I can say is that there are no words adequate enough to express how grateful I feel, and I think I can speak for all of us who are on that plane bound for Ankara from Moscow earlier this month, how grateful I feel to all friends in the free world who, throughout all this time, throughout all this hell, never stopped advocating, never stopped speaking out, never forgot for a second about those political prisoners who are sitting in Putin's gulag, having committed no crime except, speaking out against Putin's dictatorship, except speaking out against Putin's aggressive and criminal war against Ukraine. And had it not been for this tireless campaigning by people of goodwill in so many countries, including here in the United States, including my friends at the Washington Post, to whom I'm eternally grateful, this would not be happening. I would not be speaking to you now. And I also think it is very important to say and to remember that while the 16 of us on that plane 2 weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago, was snatched out of the Putin's gulag, there are so many others who are still there. There are thousands of people. There are Russian political prisoners. There are Ukrainian prisoners of war and civilian hostages. There are hundreds and hundreds, more than 1,000 political prisoners in neighboring Belarus, right? There are two dictatorships still left in Europe, Russia under Putin and Belarus under Lukashenko. And we must not forget about them for a moment, and we must not relent until they are free and out of this hell as well. And this is one of the issues that I'm going to be dedicating a lot of time and effort to now that I'm out of it myself and back to life, back to reality.